Hi everyone, another hashtag 78 days, and this is Lisa. And I have to confess to being arithmetically challenged over the last 5 or so videos. So somehow I got confused with the world. Um, I got confused with the world. So I started saying with the world card that we were on day 23. I don't know why I thought that. I think I thought, oh, it's always one more Trump than you think because the Fool is Trump 0, and so I added 1 to 22. Anyway, what that meant is that I said yesterday that we were on day 29, but we were only on day 28. Today is day 29, and I know that makes a huge difference for all of you, right? Right. Today is the Seven of Pentacles, and the deck that I've chosen to focus on is a deck I'm really thrilled to own, and I actually own 2 copies of it because you know, in eBay all things are possible, so saith I. So, you know, just a little patience, a virtue that might actually be pointed to by the Seven of Pentacles, and not a virtue that I have in SCAD. So, but somehow when eBay is concerned, I can be patient. But with a little patience, you know, even a spendy deck like this one can come to you for not very much money. So the Royal Fez Moroccan, for people like me obsessed with vintage decks and the sort of moment of the 1970s, this deck is just like, I'm so excited. This deck, and it came in, I know of 2 different versions of the box. This is the earlier version, the black with the gold. And this box, I mean, you have no idea, this box is like in freaking amazing condition. I really lucked out. And it also comes in an orange box, and I don't have my orange box at handy. I've got it packed away. And I think, well, I'm not even gonna say, I think it was printed into the early 80s, but I can't remember. So here's the thing about this deck. It was originally printed in a limited edition in the 1950s by this guy named Roland Barrel, who was the founder of Mensa, the organization for like super brainiacs, and he apparently had an IQ of 170. I can't remember what I think the cutoff in Mensa is like 140 or whatever. Anyway, and if anyone in your life says tarot is a waste of time, just say that the founder of Mensa was a huge tarot fanatic. Now, he wasn't interested in the occult per se, but he saw tarot as being a kind of amalgam of astrology and Gnosticism, and he saw it as being tied to its origins in, you know, in sort of Muslim, in the Muslim world. And he thought that after the fall of Fez, Morocco in the 12th century, that the tarot got corrupted, and that what entered into the West was a corrupt version of the tarot. He blamed Romany for that. So, you know, his sense of history is a little skewed. His sense of tarot history is not what we would think is accurate today. But in the 1950s, he commissioned this artist named Michael Hobdell to paint a deck, or, you know, design a deck that would be more true to the original Moroccan imagery. Now, the deck that Hobdell painted, these are the backs. This is actually the U.S. Games reprint of the 1950s edition. So in 1975, Stuart Kaplan, you know, nabbed the images and created his own edition of the Royal Fez. But as you'll see, these images really actually don't look particularly Moroccan. They look like the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery with some, you know, some differences. And one of the differences is apparent in the Seven of Pentacles. But, you know, what to me is charming about this deck is the combination of I love the gold frame, the use of the black and white engraving. I'm like, that's a knockout to me, and the very sparing use of color. My favorite card in this deck is just, you know, shows what can happen when all of that comes together brilliantly and perfectly. So Temperance, I love this angel. I love pretty much everything about this card. Okay, so that's the Royal Fez. Another thing that's, I think, interesting about that deck is that in the 1975 edition, so this is the original little white book, although I guess I have a, no, I can't even read that, a second printing. of this. But in the 1975 edition, it came with this keyword card, and you'll notice that the keywords here follow the Crowley system, even though the imagery is clearly Rider-Waite. I mean, they're essentially, you know, harmonious change, material works, earthly power, material trouble, material success, success unfulfilled, prudence, material gain, wealth. These are basically the Crowley meanings for the suits. So that's kind of an interesting amalgam. I don't know what to make of that. Okay, so the Pentacles in Barrel's Royal Fez Moroccan. You know, you'll see the themes that we've been talking about. You know, the ways in which this is a world of the combination of human labor and natural flourishing. A suit that is asking, how do we deploy our own energies, our efforts to create, to generate? How does this world create insides and outsides, haves and have-nots? I love that in the Five of Pentacles, first of all, there are three figures and they're all looking in, you know. I think this Six of Pentacles really says a lot of what I was trying to say yesterday. I mean, he's clearly just facing one of these guys. The other guy's like, hey, what about me? And then the Seven of Pentacles we'll come back to in a second. But, you know, what does it take to make of this earth a second Garden of Eden, to really imagine a place where human life can flourish, right? Without the sorrow of labor. What will it take to create a kind of harmonious community where we're at peace with nature? We're not just striving to get gain and holding on to it like the Midas figure in the Four of Pentacles, but we're somehow relating more adroitly and more expertly and more nimbly and lovingly and compassionately with the world of nature. So the Seven of Pentacles in that story, I mean, for me, it has a lot to do with the way time fits into notions of gain and loss, notions of work and the fruits of work, and the ways in which all of that time element ties into our emotional, spiritual state, our well-being or our lack of well-being. What fascinates me about the Seven of Pentacles is this is like a completely ambiguous card. You know, we see this relationship between the Pentacles and a kind of natural process of growth and harvest. But the question is, like, what's his or her relationship to this? Now, the difference between this card and the traditional Rider-Waite is the direction in which the figure is facing. So this is the traditional imagery. Okay, so he's leaning on his shovel and looking at, right, looking at the harvest. And Waite's text to that in the Pictorial Key to the Tarot says, a young man leaning on his staff looks intently at 7 pentacles attached to a clump of greenery on his right. One would say that these were his treasures and that his heart was there. So for Waite, this is an image of, you know, hey, these are mine, my heart is here, I'm invested in this kind of sense perhaps of satisfaction. For so many other interpreters of Pixie's imagery, even this stance, it's like, well, is he satisfied with what's produced? Is he waiting? I mean, it's clearly a moment in a process of growth and development. And the question is, like, what is the quality of this moment? So if you think about the Tarot of the Hidden Realm and other tarot decks where this becomes a card about gestation and waiting, and that sort of image in the Tarot of the Hidden Realm of, let me see if I can call that up really quickly. Patience. You know, where she's like, I mean, she's sort of beatific, you know, she's got her hand on her full belly and she's just waiting. The sun is radiant on her face, right? So a kind of expectancy, right? An expectation. It's like I put in the effort and I have expectation of reward. And in this sense, the card becomes a little bit like, you know, those cards like the Two of Pentacles or the Three of Wands, where there's ships off in the distance, and it's like, you know, my ship is going to come in. I've put this effort into the world, and I'm waiting for my ships to come in. I don't know if they will, but I'm waiting, and I'm expectant, and I have hope. I have optimism. But this guy is leaning away, and, you know, that expression doesn't look so hopeful. Whoops. Can we get some focus here? Let's see. All right, well, you know, the camera is not loving me. It doesn't look so hopeful. And in fact, now I don't know if this is Kaplan's, I think this is probably Kaplan's interpretation of this card, and not necessarily Barrel's, but the interpretation here is to say, yeah, this must be Kaplan's. A young man leans upon his hoe and stares dreamily into space. 7 pentacles appear to be growing from a grape arbor near him. Okay, so he's staring dreamily into space. But then the divinatory meaning follows the Crowley, and it's success unfulfilled. So this is not an image of expectation and hope. It's an image of failure, right? Of lack of fulfillment. His ships haven't come in. And that to me is like, you know, the ambiguity of this card. Is this about like waiting and not knowing? Is this about, oh wow, look at the fruits of my labor, look at my garden, it's growing so beautifully? Or is this like, nope, this is failure? That ambiguity of this card to me seems to be like exactly just, this is what the Seven of Pentacles energy is all about. You know, we're stuck in time, waiting to see how our actions are going to play out. We have a sense, you know, of karma, of natural processes, of the turning wheel of fate, however we want to think about it. We have a sense that things do unfold in kind of predictable ways, and yet, you know, we just don't know. And hence, you know, we're impatient to see what happens next. The quality of patience would mean that I could just trust that process to unfold in a way that would be fulfilling, a way that would be satisfying, a way that would be harmonious. But, you know, as neurotic human beings, we just may not know. And this is where I am right now exactly. It's like I'm in this Seven of Pentacles period in my life. Like, okay, what next? I have to be somehow in an open and expectant state, and yet I find myself looking over at my, you know, looking over at my patch of growing pentacles, or leaning away, sort of, you know, like contemplating the hoe, my tools, my skill set, like, you know, has this gotten me anywhere? It's a restless feeling. It's a restless feeling. So how do I work with that energy, right? Okay, I have droned on long enough, and there's traffic noise in the background, and yeah, Seven of Pentacles. I do not like this card. I do not like waiting. I want to know right now. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for being there. Thank you for waiting along with me. Let's see how it all turns out. Take care.